Hello, hello, my green skins. And today we're actually talking about a new movie because it's a Sylvester Stallone movie, and we love our Italian stallion here. So we are talking about Samaritan. And so, Val, what did you think of Samaritan? Give me a rough little layout.
I can honestly say it is it's great. Like we have gotten so many over the top big budgeted superhero movies over the past decade that it's
Mhm.
actually kind of nice to see a low budgeted superhero movie that you know simple, straightforward, no need to worry about like over the top budgets or massive fist fights or superpowers.
Mhm.
Simply super strength and just just have a fun, interesting story and characters you can relate to. That works.
Okay,
That works
so
for me.
Dark, what do you think?
Well, firstly, there's going to be a bit of bias on my end because it's Stallone.
Mhm.
I'll try to be objective. I do like how, and as someone who doesn't get into superhero movies, I enjoy this because I saw things. There are a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Cliches and plot
Mhm.
points that weren't used this time around. I mean, he's not the happiest quote unquote superhero, but he's not a brooding, whiny
Yeah.
little bitch like we always see.
So we got ourselves a decent superhero and a decent superhero movie. Let's break it down. We're going to start with the story. So the story in this one is interesting because it starts off with a kid explaining these two super beings. One called Nemesis, one called Samaritan. They get in a fight and then Samaritan disappears. Cut to this kid living in a very ghetto situation. best put, with a mother who's a nurse, which I have a theory that this bugged the hell out of me, and because nurses make a lot of money,
Yeah, they
and
do make a good chunk of money.
they make more money than some nurses, even in the worst places. They're making like $25 an hour. And for those who don't knows those who know about that, like this should not be a nurse fighting to get into her apartment. I don't have the money. I'm like, unless she's like some specialty like shopper mark pharmacist, like even pharmacists make good money. Like I don't agree with that. Yeah, I wish she was more of a waitress and then studying to be a nurse because nurse make a lot of money. Like we could actually maybe we'll throw up what the annual income for a nurse is. It's a lot. It's like anywhere from 15 like anywhere from between 20 to I thought I saw $60 an hour for a head nurse. I'm like, "Holy shit." So you get the young boy getting into trouble with the law because he wants to kind of save his mom, and he meets the big bad, which is like trying to be his own version of an anti-hero and supervillain type of thing. And so he also meets a old man who kind of saves him from a butt kicking, and the old man is super strong. And this kid is like, wow, this is a superhero. This is like this really powerful Superman, and he's pushing over like this must be Samaritan. This must be Samaritan, the superhero that went missing. And you follow his story, and this kid and Sylvester Stallone playing the superhero. You follow him and his story actually legit kind of building this relationship, even though one of them they both don't want to have a relationship. They're both kind of like 50-50. I don't want this, he doesn't want that. It's kind of like he just wants to be left alone after his situation with his brother. After everything that happened with his brother, he just wants to fucking fuck off and be done with it.
Yeah. Yeah, like settling
And
down. He mentions how
yeah,
destroying things is easy,
fixing
repairing
stuff is
things
actually
is very
time
difficult.
consuming. Yeah, and it's a good fight. It's a good story. The bad guy gets the. It is simplistic, but you do get these emotional moments, and it's a decent for that. And it's a really good story. We're gonna kind of end it there for the story mode. I don't want to go too much into it. Like that's it's a pretty basic, but we don't want to get too much into it because it is actually has a good story and has a good ending. What
Yeah,
did you think of the acting in this, actually, guys? We'll start with Dark this time, and then we'll do Val, and then I'll do the last.
I think the acting's fine. The kid wasn't an annoying little shit, which is refreshing because child actors, it's hit or miss with them. Unfortunately, I think Edward Furlong from Terminator 2 still set the standard, but at least this kid was fine. He didn't get on my nerves. I don't know how you may feel about that, but I thought he did just fine. Stallone, obviously, veteran actor at this point in time, so he's he's being Stallone, the Stallone we love, the
Mhm.
Italian stallion,
Mhm.
and everybody else did
Yeah,
their roles just fine. Simple plot. I don't feel too much was demanded out of them, but they still uh, gave in the best performances they could.
Mhm. Val, what did you think?
I have to say I can agree with you on with Dark on this one. Um, the villain, for those who may not recognize him, was actually Euron Greyjoy from Game of Thrones, and
Mhm.
here he is channeling some of that, but he seems like a legitimate villain, like someone
Mhm.
who grew up, hyped on the bad guy, believe in the legends and the stories, and saying, "I want to do it. I want to be the one to continue the legacy." Um, I also believe that the ghetto, I don't want to say like ghetto life, but I'm lacking of a better term, seems plausible and believable. That oh yeah, they're
Low
taking
income?
what? So yeah, he's stealing like metal wiring and copper wiring, to sell to like a pawn, to some guy who's gonna pawn him off and get like a handful of cash. Because, like you said before, the kid was trying to help out his mom. That's pretty good. Stallone's character, you aren't exactly sure where it's gonna go with him, but he does not disappoint. The action is pretty good. I love
Mhm.
that, and I love how we have like and this isn't spoiling anything, but we have like artifacts of the time
Yeah,
when Samaritan and Nemesis were
Nemesis we're
active.
fighting. Yeah. Again, I love and hate with a little bit of this. The kid actress is a love hate relationship with me on that one. I kinda I hope that doesn't get taken out of context. Okay, so the kid, I hated his voice. Yeah, yeah, every once in a while, I was like, oh, I want to punch him. But everyone had a good acting, like literally from like the main bad guy. I liked him. He was solid. He was actually very fun. Um, the even some of the side stuff, like when you're talking when you hear about the villainess, like his girlfriend, she kind of has a moment. They all have moments that are quite good, and I thought the acting, even the mother, as much as I hate that plot point. That plot point drives me nuts because nurses shouldn't be starving. I think it's a great movie for that, and I thought I enjoyed wholeheartedly the acting in this. It was really well done. Like it's a solid movie all around. So, what did you think of the fight sequences, boys? What did you think of the effects and stuff?
It's refreshing to see a modern film that isn't reliant on shaky camera and or even active camera, because even Stallone has had his issues with that. Expendables, and
Yeah,
yeah, I've said this many times before. Shaky cam bothers me, but I love how in this movie, it's not just shaky cam they avoided, but they also avoided constant quick cuts. So it's easy to tell what's going on, who's doing what.
you know,
The actors did some actually put some effort in choreography, so I give it points for that.
yeah, that is kind of a thing. What about you, Val? What did you think of that?
I would have to say it felt like uh Netflix Daredevil, like Charlie Cox got
Mm,
into his 60s and was fighting. That's the best comparison I can come up with. It felt
okay.
believable. It felt realistic. The
Mhm.
characters aren't invincible. That you feel the hits. When Stallone gets hit, he gets hit,
Yeah.
and
Well, yeah,
when the bad guys get hit, they get hit. I kind of like that when you have a fist fight between like superheroes in movies, when you actually feel them get hit, like they
yeah,
react,
it
like
has
they
good
don't like
action. Yeah.
shrug it off.
Mhm.
That's something that I like seeing. Like a
Yeah.
great example of this is Spider-Man versus Green Goblin in the original uh, 2002 Spider-Man movie. You could feel those hits.
They had the balls, even for that, to allow a little blood, just like in this
Yeah.
movie. And because I noticed a lot of fights in modern, from clips I see of modern superhero films, there's all this debris, destruction, flying into things, buildings collapsing on them, and I don't even, I don't even, their suits get minimal, if any, damage. They don't bleed. They don't show bruises or sweat
Yeah.
half the time. So I think
Yeah, very rarely are they covered in dirt and grime, and I think the closest thing we've actually got that to a modern superhero movie would be Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Well, no, I see that's the problem. See, my biggest problem was is like they do add a lot of that CG, and this doesn't have that. In modern superhero movies, I think there's just way too much CG sometimes, to the point where I'm like, like
it's a
it's just
cartoon.
too. Yeah, yeah. You might as well just be watching Reboot at that point. But this one felt crunchy. They used a lot of good visual effects. They did use a lot of They did use CG, but they used a lot of visual effects. Some of my favorite crunchy moments were like when he knocks someone, when he just grabs somebody, just woof right through something, and then there's that scene where he's surrounded by all the guys and he just breaks the entire like the entire place down on them, drops it all on their heads. That's crunchy. Good fights, like where you're just throwing people through stuff, knocking people through walls. That is a crunchy fight. It had that crunchiness to it. That's what you want to see when you do these type of movies. Um, it it was good. It was just overall a great little thing for that. Now here's the weakest thing. I think the weakest part of this movie was the music. What did you boys think of the music altogether? We'll start with Val this time, and then.
If I'm going to be completely honest, it's kind of forgettable.
Mhm.
The music is kind of
Okay.
forgettable at times. Sometimes you feel them. You get the feeling that, oh yeah, it sounds pretty good and uplifts you, but nine
Mm.
times out of 10, it is just straight up forgettable.
Oh, non-existent at some points, right, Dark? Did you feel the same thing? Like, there's a couple times where I'm like, "Where's the music?"
I can't remember any specific tracks, so yeah, music is forgettable, as Val said, and I wish there was more effort in modern movies to have cool soundtracks. Get licensed music if you have to. Actually, I
Yeah,
take that back. Most modern music is crap, but I don't know.
yeah, and
This
I'm
is
starting to get sick of the licensed musics as well, right? Like, it's getting sick. Like, I
it's a
think
separate
Shrek took it to.
it's a
Yeah, it is a
separate topic
separate
that
issue.
requires its own video.
It really does. Huh. Yeah, I forgot. Totally forgot what the music was. There was a couple times I felt like there was no music. Like I can't remember. Like I remember hearing music, but I don't remember it. And that's my only. This movie's a solid movie, and I would probably give it a little bit of a higher rating if it wasn't for the fact that we had like that craptacular bit of that. Like this movie, like we put at the beginning of the review the fact that these guys were giving it mediocre, if not very low scores. Like the critics were giving this shit scores, and this movie does not deserve it. And we're going to give it a real good. We're going to give it the right scores. So Val, what do you want to rate this movie?
I'm rating it 7.5. Certain elements are a little predictable, but the action, the characters, the storytelling, and pretty much everything else more than makes up for it. It could have been a little bit better. We could have had a little bit more fleshing out of the
Hmm.
kid, his backstory. I mean, he did explain it a little bit, but it was kind of like oh yeah, well, this is why this is, or yeah, well, here's what happened to, and then like going,
Well,
oh,
well,
this,
Val, that's the thing I gotta ask. It's like we really didn't need it because that wasn't the like I see what you're saying, but that's where my caveats got to kick off a little bit. I think we didn't need it. I think this was more about the kid having a thought process that would add to it. This movie could, on that sense, you are right there a little bit about that. That yeah, no, it is predictable and maybe a little more, but we really don't need too much. I think the story was more about Samaritan and this young boy finding his superhero. What about you, Dark? What did you think of the?
I'm giving this a 7 because,
Yeah,
as you guys said, it's predictable. But I think that's it worked to its advantage because I think it was more focused on world building. Because these are superheroes, sorry, super beings. I don't know if we can call this a superhero movie just yet, in the traditional sense. But
it's
the thing is, it's world building and it's not based on any existing IP, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm
no, it's
wrong on
not.
that. So it needs to.
Although there has been rumor that Sylvester Stallone's planning on making a comic based off Samaritan, but we'll see if that's actually true. Anyway, go ahead.
But again, it's not based on any existing material, so therefore it's building from scratch in the form of a movie, which I think a failed attempt years ago in the form of Hancock exists.
Yeah. This movie to me is a 7.2. It gets a good rating, but like maybe even a 7.3. It's almost that I'm in agreement with both you guys on what you're saying. My only big gripe with this is the freaking music needed to be a little bit more good. If it had a little bit better music and something that I could really write home to, it's great. Now I think Sylvester Stallone also directed this movie.
No, he
Fuck,
didn't.
he's a decent director. No, he didn't. No, okay. I thought this was the one he directed. Which one did he direct recently? We watched. We watched one that he directed. I just can't remember what it was. I think he's good, and I think, like I said, Sylvester Stallone's coming into his second acting career. I think we might have the old man Stallone story, and it does bring back what is referred to as the ghetto hero, where you got the Roger Corman was good for that for Black Scorpion, and he did a couple other superhero type things. Also, movies like Faust and some other movies were really what are like those superhero movies that like felt like they're low budget, but they're actually like these things. And I think it was Black Mantis, Black, a lot of black in the names of those movies of the ghetto movies which is kind of funny. That like superheroes that come from like the streets type of thing, where they're you know coming from that thing. I thought this was well done. I thought it was a good movie, right, boys? Like I
yeah,
think
yeah,
they're and yeah, it's
yeah,
insane that they did what they did. Like it's insane that the ratings like Rotten Tomatoes is giving this a shit rating. Like this doesn't deserve that rating.
A lot of movies don't deserve the ratings they get. I could name some stuff, but I don't want to get controversial.
Yeah, we'll stay away from it. Um, yeah, that's our review of Samaritan, a decent movie, well done. Thank you everybody. Like, sub, and subscribe. We want those subscriptions, and we're coming up with some more what ifs, and we'll have some more movie reviews as it comes up. So thank you kindly. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Dark, and have yourselves a good one. Bye.